Hello everyone, welcome to Creative Code channel. In this video we're gonna complete our application about COVID-19 tracker with JavaScript. So in the past video talked about the requirements. So talked about Bootstrap and charts library and of course jQuery. So here we have and font awesome also. So here we have the font awesome and Bootstrap links or cdn links for the minified Bootstrap and minified font awesome. So the bottom we have the libraries of the Amcharts, the core one, the maps, charts, the geodata, and we have our jQuery minified.js, and we have also Bootstrap minified.js. In the very bottom we have our files. So the iso.js represents an object of data I needed for our map. So here I have an object, and each one represents a country with the ISO code of the country. So I have all countries here with their ISO code. So it's a very large object, but we need it for our map, needed for our tracker. So the second one represents our charts, the map chart and the X and Y chart. The last one is the data provider. So let's get started. So we're gonna start with the design. So our application, so for the first row, is a row that divided by 3 columns for each one, divided by 4 columns and 3 divisions for each column. So and each column I made inside it a card, and each card with shadow and different background. First one make background success, second one make it danger and info, and last one is the warning for the last update. And inside it made a span with different IDs, so I can pass the data from JavaScript to these spans. So here I show you. So this is the first column in the first row with background success, text white, shadow, border 0 and text center of course. Here we have new cases and the font awesome is check. The span with ID new cases. So here we are going to display the new cases number. Here we have the spinner. So the spinner is that thing that displays before the data is loaded completely from our API. And for the second column is the same, just different background and different ID of span. Give it the new dates and the spinner also. Third one is active cases. It's for active cases, span with ID active cases. The last one is for the last update of data. So the ID is last update, also spinner. So right now we're gonna pass to the second row. So the second row, as you see here, the sides columns, each one takes 3 divisions, and the centered one takes 6 divisions. And for the second one, divide by 2. One div takes the map tracker, and second div takes the X and Y chart that represents the most countries infected by new cases, or the most countries that have new cases high. So I'm gonna show you the code. So this is the second row, and every column, so the first side, give it the ID of side, so the lists displayed there is built with JavaScript, of course, and there is a spinner. The second one, each row for the second column represents a card, and inside the card I made a div with first div, give it the ID of chart div. The second one is the X and Y charts, and the high and width, of course, and for the last column it's the other side ID. I give it the other side ID with the spinner. So the other, or the last column, represents two lists. This is total recovered and the total dates. Of course, this list is built with JavaScript. So now I'm gonna show you. We are gonna jump into the JavaScript code. So I'm gonna jump to this file data.js. So to retrieve data from our API, I use Ajax. And Ajax is simpler with JQuery. So it's simpler rather than use it with simple JavaScript. So I made here a request, give it an Ajax object, and inside the Ajax object I pass another object, and for the first attribute is the URL, so the URL of our API, and method of this request is a get request, and the data type that we're gonna try from this data resource or our free API is a JSON type. So here, when the data is loaded completely, when the request is done, what we're gonna do is we are gonna hide our spinners. So this function hide spinners, what she did is it retrieves all elements that have class name spinners, and for each element we apply a style with the display equal to none. So after that here I have excluded many things, like the first element of our data is world data, so I don't need it, and some other data that I don't need here, some islands, and some other small countries that I didn't include it for my tracker for COVID-19. So here I built a new array of objects so that I can use it for our map, because the data retrieved from my API is need to be reformatted and need to be added some other fields, some other attribute like the ID. So this ID is retrieved from our object here, country by ID, that represents every country and the code for this, the ISO code for this country. So this is what I did. I have passed for each country the name of the country, and I retrieved the code. Here for the new cases I reformatted because I need to remove plus and pluses and commas. So this method reformat, what she did exactly is they take a number, this number is a string that can contain plus, that can contain commas, and it splits. I make a number and split this number passed here, this is a string, by the comma, and I remove plus by filter, JavaScript filter, and then I join the results. So the split as we know is return a table So for the other elements, for the country, just applied, we give the data of the country text, last update for the last update. So this data is retrieved from here, from our free API. So as you see here, there is our active cases, country text, last updates, and new cases, etc. And for others like new dates, I reformat every element, every data to be a number, so I can use it for our map. So after I build our data, the table of data, so it's time to build HTML elements for the side lists. Here, the new cases, the total cases, this list of countries, list of total recovered, list of total deaths. So this function of course fill new cases. What it does is that it constructs, it builds the list of our new cases. So let's take a look. So fill new cases, what it does, we are gonna put it aside for the first column. So I retrieve the side elements and I create the UL. So this function creates our UL equal to document.create element UL, and set attribute, give the class list group just bootstrap list group flush, and give it shadow and return the UL. And after that we append a child for this UL. This child is the first element, the first li. So this function first li, what she does is create an element, is create the first element of our list. So let first li document create element, of course li, and we set an attribute, class attributes for our first li, and give it some HTML with some values here. Of course we pass the title, pass the type is background, it will be danger or success or dark or whatever. Here the icon is the font awesome icon. The title is the title like new cases or total cases, total recovered, total deaths. The total here is the number shown here. This is the total. So after that, for each element passed here, because in here we passed our data, so the data that the table of data that we built lastly or lately. For each element, what we're gonna do is we append an eli to our list. So this function creates an eli list item. So it creates the item here. So the command that creates element eli, and we apply an event listener. So here that code here, we're gonna take a look of it after we build our charts, because it concerns our charts. So basically what it does is when you click an element, for example, our map is zooms to this country. So we're gonna take a look of it after, and you see it's an attribute for this eli, class attribute list, group item, background, lights, cursor also, plus cursor, and to give it some HTML. So this image, the image of each country, it's an SVG image. So this images I've regrouped it here. So each country is represented by his code.svg. So the svg of each country, name of the svg is the ID or the ISO code of the country .svg. So you passed here, the source of the image is flags, and we pass the ID to lowercase because our ID here is uppercase. So after that, we give it the country and the eli class, because we need different colors here. This will be danger color, and this will be info, this will be success, this last one is dark, and last thing is we need the value, and we return our eli, of course. So this create eli, create our elements, and the attributes given here, we use it inside our function that creates our element. So after we have done with each data, each country, finally we append our list to the side elements, to the side column. So this is for the first elements. So we'll fill the new cases for the first list, and I made the same for the second list, for the third, and the last one. Just the same logic. Fail cases, pass data, pass our total, and failure recovered, pass data and pass total of the total of recovered cases around the world, and filled it also. So this is the same logic for fail cases. We retrieve our side elements, we create the UL and we append the child. We call the function create first eli, pass our attributes, the title attribute, the type and the icon, pass total, For each element of our table of data, we append a child to our UL with an li an li of, so the type of text or the color of text is the info. We pass the ID for retrieving our the SVG icon. We pass the country and we pass the values. So it's the same for fail cases, same for fail recovered, and it's the same for fail dates. So this is all for this video. If you like our content, please like, subscribe and share our channel. So thank you for watching. See you in the next video.